There's many ways that conflicts evolve. One of the most common ways that I find helpful to evaluate a conflict is looking to James' teaching, James 4:1 and 1 through 3, where he says, "What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You want something but don't get it. You kill and covet. You quarrel and fight." And what he's talking about there is the origin of most destructive conflict is desires in the human heart that have begun to rule us. And we call this the progression of an idol. And there's 4 different steps. Number 1, there could be a desire we have, which very often is not inherently wrong. We may have a desire to reach the poor in our community. We may have a desire to have a more effective youth ministry. We may have a desire to be more effective in evangelism. Those are good desires. But what happens is sometimes these desires move up a notch to become what we call a demand. It's not just something, it'd be great if we could do this, but we must do this. I have to have this. I cannot be happy until I get this. So this desire has become a demand. And so a good thing can become a ruling desire. And it can be something as simple as a young woman who wants to have a child. She's a young married wife who wants to have a baby. For some reason they can't conceive, and it becomes a consuming desire, creates tension in a relationship with her husband. It could be a man at work who wants to do well in his profession, to advance. That's good. But when it becomes that he has to get that promotion, he has to be recognized and be bitter if he doesn't, then it's become a demand. So it's gone from being desire to being demand. Something has to have. And when we demand something, the next step almost inevitably is we begin to judge people who stand in our way. There's this thing I want, I'm not getting it, and it's your fault. And we start to judge people around us. And somehow it's their fault that we're not getting this thing we want. And once we start judging people, then the next typical step is we start to punish people. So it goes desire, demand, judging, punishing. And the punishing is where we start to find ways to inflict some kind of unpleasant experience on people. There can be physical abuse. Pastors can begin, I've seen pastors berate people from the pulpit. You can have a wife who just gets very cool and chilly toward her husband. She's not overtly hostile toward him. She just pulls away emotionally from him. I found even in my own life, when I was developing and learning more about this concept, I started looking at my life and say, where do I punish other people? How do I punish people? And my daughter Megan just happened to point out to me a conversation we had, and she said, "Yeah, I could tell you're really angry." I said, "Angry? I never raise my voice." She says, "Oh, you're right, Dad. You never raise your voice. You just get really, really quiet." And I just thought, wow, here I thought I was being very self-controlled, but it was still sending a signal that Dad must be angry. He's really quiet right now. And so there's lots of ways we send people messages that we're not happy about something. So what we have to do is sort of work backwards. We say, okay, how am I hurting other people? Do I yell? Do I berate? Am I sarcastic? Do I get quiet? Look at that behavior, then you work backwards toward what is the desire that has taken over my heart and is controlling me. And then say, Lord, I'm looking to this thing for happiness, security, comfort, more than I'm looking to you. And so it's repenting of our idols, focusing more back on God as a source of our contentment, our security, our happiness, even often confessing those idols. I've had to confess idols in my heart to my family. I've had to confess them to fellow elders in my church. I've had to confess them to coworkers and employees, things that were ruling me that fuel the conflict. So that's a big step and just sort of seeing how did I contribute to us getting to this point of significant conflict.